Brian Powell of I Run Far here with Jim Walmsley after his 5th place finish at the 2017 UTMB. How are you, Jim?
Doing all right. How are you?
All right. It's your best 100-mile finish.
Highest place, yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's a lot of positives to build off of this race.
Well, what were some of the most positive takeaways you had?
It's probably the most complete experience I've had in 100. Highs and lows, battling through that. Doing a race, running through the night, a mountainous 100-miler, towing the line and putting a good foot forward with Francois and Killian, and getting to run with a lot of miles with those guys, but actually get to feel like their fitness and some of their strengths and stuff in a race. So, and then also being able to find a rebound somehow. I'm not sure where it necessarily came from, but my stomach just kind of started to settle again and was able to get some calories back in, and the legs quickly followed. And
is that the first time in a long ultra where you've gone from, you ride a high and then you crash at some point?
The only thing comparable is maybe Lake Sonoma 2015.
Yeah.
There was a bit of a crash in that, but half the distance, not the same.
Yeah.
Not the same. So
that's a real positive takeaway, knowing that that can happen.
It can happen. It's not the end, and I don't think I was mentally treating it like it was the end, but it was just, I need to problem solve right now, and I'm not sure what the solution is, but I'm searching for it, and that's where I found myself.
Well, let's rewind a little bit. Going into this race, it's probably the best trail ultramarathon field ever.
Yeah.
You're in there. Francois, Killian, Xavier are all there. And did you just go out and set the pace from the gun?
So there are a couple things I don't think I really wanted them to just be super comfortable, but at the same time I didn't want to run off the front per se, or run through the night by myself. Running through the night by myself in front of those guys, I think is a very bad choice.
Yeah.
So, but when I was running in the front, I was running 30 meters ahead of them, looking back, basically letting them set the pace, but keeping it moving and keeping it honest. Not fast honest, but we're moving.
Yeah.
And instead of relaxing and waiting for just the late mountains, because all three of those guys are coming in undefeated at UTMB races. Yeah. They're all just aces when it comes to 20-hour plus in the mountains, grinding, and a lot of that is brand new to me. And so, but them being right there behind me gave me a good thumbs up of no worries, it's fine.
Yeah. So you come into Lake Contamine, sort of the same situation, and in there you're kind of talking a little bit of strategy. What were you thinking you were doing after Lake Contamine? Was there a plan to go at a certain point?
Fueling was going good, running was going good. It felt like it was going to be the day, and I could feel that. You're 20 miles in. Take it all relative of if you want to move on anything, those guys are so even keeled. They're not going to react. They're going to be okay. And, but just early running and miles I was sharing with them and feeling each other running, I drew confidence off of what I was feeling.
Yeah.
And my instincts off of that. And
so you come into Courmayeur, same thing. It's now down to you, Killian, and Francois.
Having a little bit of blister problems. That was the first time I switched shoes because I felt a hot spot that didn't really go away, and then
on the ball of your feet, or
that was on my heel.
Okay.
So I think the weather up in Col de Bonhomme, I think I got some dirt or mud in my shoe and didn't really quite realize it, and probably had some rubbing in the back of my heel, and essentially what might have just been a short-term hot spot eventually turned into a blister, and a lot of times that can be a bit of a death sentence. So immediately get to Courmayeur, switch socks, put on some squirrel's nut butter on my feet, and go into the speed goats as opposed to the Mafati speed. So
you head out of there. Francois heads out a couple minutes early.
dude, he blasted the aid stations. Like, he's just in and out of every one, because I'm like, oh, I got like a minute on him, like a minute. I can see them right there. Like, we're together.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, we'll see like how they go. And Killian was more on the same page of like, oh yeah, let's have some chips, and it's kind of nice. And then Francois just business, and he didn't change his shoes or socks all race, and it was just like, he's
a machine.
Solid. Yeah, he was good. I mean, the whole takeaway with everything was just, those guys are relentless.
Did you guys regroup somewhere out of Courmayeur? Did you form up a group again?
Yeah. So
were you ever just like the three of you running together rather than you just off the front?
Yeah. Okay. Almost all of Col de Seine was in Italy, and then it's on the descent from Col de Seine to Maison Viel, kind of the little refuge. There's a flat part that goes to the lake, and that's just a part where like, well, it's flat, it's runnable. I'm not exerting extra energy per se, but those are areas where I can make them a little more uncomfortable. I mean, I don't think I really made those two guys very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Too much. They had solid races, start to finish, and stuff. So, but those are parts where if I'm gonna try to create an advantage for me and my strengths, those are some of the parts where I'm like, all right, I'm gonna run this. Like, it's all relative, but so I came into Courmayeur a little ahead, but it was the flat section. And then Francois was the first one out. I ran past him on the road, and feeling so good at that point of like, I don't want to make a move until Switzerland, but at the same time knowing like, if I can get away and I'm feeling good, it's like, I've never raced them. I don't know if I can do that to those guys. And it didn't happen this weekend, but I mean, I kept telling them after the race, like, I want to hop in another race with you guys.
It didn't discourage you.
Like, not only that, it was really fun to have those guys to run with, and like, even one of us would get a little tired and we just switch pacing a bit and like switch who's doing kind of the pulling up the hill.
So there is time. I mean, unspoken, you're working together. Like.
Yeah, totally. There was definitely like the three of us are separating, and their experience and how talented they are, I think, showed. Yeah. I wasn't able to hang on, but next time maybe a little longer.
What were things looking like at the top of Grand Col Ferret?
They were fine. It was really, really cold up there when we made the top.
But were you all still together there?
Yeah. Grand Col or Killian was back a little bit. So I probably worked with Francois more than Killian, I think.
Did you sense that he was tired at all?
Yeah. I got into Courmayeur.
And he wasn't just dilly-dallying. He was
No. In Courmayeur, I'm like, my feeling was Killian felt the pace more than Francois. Francois was just strong. And he didn't have as much lagging if I tested anything. And sometimes Francois would go with me and Killian would lag behind.
And where did things start to go south?
Well, just before La Foulée, I knew, well, going all the way up Grand Col Ferret, I think I was realizing I wasn't having a hunger to eat the sweet stuff I was carrying, and I had all sweet stuff, so that was the beginning of the problems. But kind of recognizing it and then trying to prevent such a downfall like what happened at Western States, because I mean that was 2 months ago. So yeah, I mean, I didn't want to start puking in this race. Like, if that happens, it could be a really, really bad spot. So trying to prevent things getting completely unraveled, and saving the race was more important than pushing it through La Foulée, because I came through in second.
When did you make that decision? Like,
when I let Francois go a little bit on that descent, like, right before the aid station.
Wind's not going to happen.
Yeah, and then it was just like, I know Killian's going to come through in a couple minutes, and I can't react to rushing myself to go with him and compete. And then no one else passed me through there.
And like, you you stopped for like 15 minutes. Like you were like,
Oh,
you're talking
it
like
was over 15
like,
minutes.
I'm
but
gonna regroup.
The soup was going down there,
Mhm.
so that was something going down. All I had from basically probably the top of Grand Col Ferret to Champex-Lac was that soup. And so when I get to Champex-Lac, I knew I was seeing Christophe and my crew, so it's just like, that's where I can hit a hard reset, and that's where like lie down for a bit, shut my eyes, and then also like Tim Tolson's coming through real strong. He might have been the only one that passed me in the tent, but then like immediately when I go like left, it's like just felt like here goes another one, here goes another one, because I'm just all right, just keep shuffling, survival mode.
But you were in survival mode. You were gonna go on. Like,
yeah. I think for me, have a big motivation for hard rock. So knowing that it's a hard rock qualifier and getting around the mountain is important. And then Francois saying, I think I'm going to apply for hard rock next year is like, I think he would be a monster on that course because of how good he is at hiking. And then that intrigues me more too. So
and you were in survival mode for a while, and then something that really hadn't happened in 100 before. Like you really you could surge again.
Well, maybe it's that it was a longer time race because Western States is a bit shorter time.
Yeah.
And it just didn't necessarily come back yet. Or 2016 wasn't necessarily a body stomach food bonk. It was more of a mental like, oh, this sucks. Like, that's really just a bummer.
So what was what was that feeling like in your, how did it feel to like have it
awesome
turn around?
Yeah. So it was actually, the trick was watered down Coke. Like half water, half Coke, of like, it wasn't as bubbly and it wasn't as sweet and it was going down and I was getting some sugar in. And then I was able to, I'm like, all right, that's going down. And then I take some peanut M&Ms and I was able to wash those down. I think 4. And like, this was just like magic. And then for my legs to come back, because I just crippled jogging out of Champex-Lac, like so slow, feeling awful. And then I go up the climb, I managed the climb, but then all of a sudden it clicked on the next descent going into Triant. And from there, I think I started going out of Triant. I'm like, I'm doing good. And someone gave me an update of like, there's a couple people just ahead of you, and all of a sudden it just became like I'm back in competing mode again. And at the very end of the climb out of Triant, before you start descending into Valacine, I saw them at the top, and then the next descent I just rolled right. I went right past Pau, Dylan Bowman, and Xavier. I just rolled past them, but I'm pretty sure Xavier was sitting or something because it sparked something when I went past him, because he came into Valacine and just went through the aid station, and then there's 2 miles flat before you start climbing again. And I'm trying to run away of if I can just get away and get him to quit chasing a little bit, maybe I can hold him off. But then he was closing it incrementally on the flat, and then we hit the climb and he just had another gear on the last climb that, I mean, the guy knows the mountains here, and he just ran really well on the climb, and then the end. So you dip down into Chamonix at the very end. Yeah. We hit the streets, and I'm like, this is it. This is where you see lines of Europeans, crowd going crazy. You get to celebrate, high fives on this side, high fives on that side, and Pau is less than 100 meters behind me. So it's I'm parting the Red Sea of you guys got to get out of my way.
You're pushing little kids.
He's gonna chase me down.
So it wasn't that you didn't want to.
I totally want the fun finish. I'm all about it. But I mean, if it becomes a race, it's still a race. It's another benchmark if you can get top 5 here. So to be on the fritz of 5th and 6th, that was important to me. And so I was running 5:40, 5:45 pace through just a crowd of people just splitting of he's not slowing down, we got to get out of the way. And I feel bad. And then by the time I get through the line, I'm my legs are so shot from that effort, and they're you can go back out. I'm I don't think that would be a safe thing to do right now.
Yeah, you sat on the edge of you went straight. No, like the other people were just at least standing around, and you went straight to the edge of the bleachers.
Oh, I
there
just found the closest seat possible.
Have you had a chance to enjoy it afterward now?
Yeah, it's good. It's fun. I think this was such a great learning experience, gaining so much respect for a lot of guys I haven't raced, and it's been a wonderful experience. So many new challenges that I at least got to experience, whether sometimes I was getting beat up by them or sometimes I was doing good. It was still experiencing it. So that was good. And then still lots of crowds around town, but yeah, looking forward to a little bit of vacation still in Europe before I go back to the States. So that's where I think I'll get to decompress, and there will be days off on Strava and everything. So
nice.
Or just running in general, not even like Strava. It's just like
you will actually take days off.
I'm not having dark days on Strava. I'm not running the like a couple days at least, and who knows, it could be.
You might not train until you get back to the States.
I don't have a race set in stone as my next race, so a lot of that's just going to be depending on how my legs feel, and my legs haven't felt this beat up after an ultra in a long time, and I think it's just how much of kind of a pain cave I got in on this one and pushed through it.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a good reminder, you know.
Is it possible you might not run another race this year, or you're likely to?
I don't see me not doing another race. I mean, I like races, keep me motivated to keep training. So small races or big races, I like racing.
Yeah.
So I'll more than likely race again this year. I mean, September 3rd, 2nd, 3rd, something.
Yeah. The beginning of September.
Beginning of September.
So a race
There's a lot of year left.
TNF 50 is 2.5 months away. Ultrasound Cape Town or whatever is 3 months.
So
whatever.
Looking at the schedule though, recovery will have to go well for North Face.
Because you would need to work on speed. You'd have to switch gears.
The speed's there.
Yeah.
The speed's there. I think it would be good. There's a lot of strength and a lot of strength in mountain running that I've gained in this training block, and even training blocks leading up to this training block, that's been, I think, kind of game changing in the way I'm able to handle mountains right now. It's changed from last year. Yeah, it's pretty sweet.
You spent some time in Silverton this summer, and you just mentioned that you now have a Hard Rock qualifier.
Yeah.
I assume you put your name in that one. What intrigues you about that?
Well, it scares me because Zach Miller got in the pickle this year, and Tim Tolson too. Because first American male at UTM. I mean, look, I took 5th. I got beat up a bit this race. I still left on a little bit of a positive, or a big positive note. It was still a great experience. So, but you start with goal number 1. Like, an American male hasn't won at UTMB, and like, I think I've even told some people, like, yeah, I'll keep signing up for UTMB until whether I do it or someone else does it. I mean, Tim Tolson's 2 for 2 at UTMB. Just like, he hits that Swiss border and just starts rolling. So, I mean, that's how you race it. And he's done amazing. Dylan Bowman, Zach Miller had another solid top 10 performance. And then there's plenty of other Americans that could do very well out here. So I think it's fun having also the American versus European.
You like that?
Kind of challenge mentality. I called it before the race that the Americans would outnumber the Europeans in the top 10, and we lost this year.
Only again. 4.
We only got 4. So I guess a challenge would be for more Americans.
You would have lost to cross-country scoring as well.
Yeah. Country-wise, though, we were the best.
Yeah.
We were the best. I think Spain had 3 in the top. I was doing cross-country scoring, and we beat Spain, and we beat France, because France's 3rd guy was like 14th or 15th. Yeah. So we did all right.
You did all right.
Yeah, we're holding our own, but we haven't won it on the men's side yet. But we have the women's example to look forward to, and Rory Bazio crushed it. So it's like, we can do it.
Yeah. So you're intrigued about Hard Rock.
Or too much on my plate.
You want to come back to UTMB?
Yeah.
It sounds like. I don't think you've learned how to quit that Western States, or how to get that Western States thing out of your system.
I mean, I've said so far, like, as far as Western States, I'm gonna keep swinging until I hit it.
That'd be a busy summer. I mean, I know that's like, out there next year, but
yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah.
I'll be out at Hard Rock again next year because I think that was just phenomenal training for this race. I enjoyed my specific training for UTMB out at Hard Rock, possibly more than getting on the course out here, as far as I like that higher elevation.
Now, do you think that you can train as hard there? I mean, it's more intensity to be down low here.
I don't think you need to. I think it's a high heart rate, low intensity there. Because the way I adapted into Kendall Mountain and Speed Goat was just super confidence inspiring of like, I've been literally logging 13-minute miles every day, and on Kendall Mountain rolling 435s down the descent, or Speed Goat, like, this is a pretty good tune-up effort, and it went great. And then comparatively, like, Tim Towson was in that race, and it's still a mountain race. It's only 50K, but you get a little taste, and it went well. Although Tim Towson ultimately won the ultimate duel because he still got me here, and here's where you want to perform.
Yeah. But
Speed Goat's a fun race, but UTMB is a bigger. Sorry, Carl. UTMB is a bigger prize than Speed Goat.
I think Carl would probably agree with that.
Right.
You are wearing his shoes right now.
I am wearing his shoes. Yeah.
Well, congratulations, Jim. You ran a solid race.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
And a bonus question for you, Jim.
Right on.
Before races, you speak with a lot of confidence, and some would say arrogance, but explain where that kind of comes from.
Yeah, so like, I think it's a mental approach. It's a psychological thing. That's how I get my own confidence, like, to go try to do what I want to do in a race. And generally that's try to win it, try to compete up front, maybe try to go for a course record, something like that. And I say this too, even in the pre-race stuff, is I want to start with the big goals first and then trickle down. And even when I saw you in La Foule, it was, I got to let competing for the win go, but there's a lot of goals to be had, and I can accomplish a hell of a lot of them still. So, and I did. I accomplished, the only thing was if I could somehow move back up in the podium, but which I think I was 18 minutes off of Tim at the end, but that Tim ran too strong, and it was great. And I think I'm a nice guy. I don't think I'm necessarily arrogant or too bad. It's just, I think you need that mentality to, and I also tell people, you need to lie to yourself in any way you can or need to in order to trick yourself to think that you're that good or this or that or that strong. And
so it's for yourself. Yeah. It's your own like sort of mental prep.
Yeah. It's a total psychological trick. Like, for me, for competitors,
but you go in,
everybody.
You go in with those BCD goals as well.
And like after a race like this, it's so much admiration and respect, and Francois's the real deal, and Killian's the real deal, and for Tim to execute again like that, and then how strong Xavier was, and not even guys in front of me. Pau trying to run. I keep seeing, I'm like, I will never forget that. And then like seeing Dylan Bowman out there, and no matter at what point, like, he's just the nicest guy out there. And then so there's so much like admiration for everybody doing out there, and we all love doing it. We all respect the training and the work that goes into it. It's not meant to be disrespectful or piss anyone off, but yeah,
Thank you,
is
Jim.
what it is. Yeah.